There was a time when Medal of Honor did not just exist in the shooter genre, it defined it. Before the industry became crowded with yearly, monthly releases and massive live service ecosystems, Medal of Honor was one of the names that set the tone for what a military shooter could really feel like, a war game. It was grounded, it was intense, and was also focused on the human side of the war rather than just spectacle. And now, after many years of silence, shifting identities, and a franchise also that slowly faded out of the spotlight, everything's pointing towards something unexpected right now. Medal of Honor is actually coming back. Not as a continuation, not as a soft reboot, but a full reset. And if the rumors and internal shifts around EA's shooter lineup are anything to go by right now, this isn't just a nostalgic revival, this is a deliberate attempt to build the identity of the franchise that once stood shoulder to shoulder with the biggest names in gaming. Because let's be honest, the shooter landscape has actually changed. It is faster, it's louder, more competitive, more focused on online ecosystems and constant updates, etc. Games aren't just released anymore, they're maintained, they evolve, monetize, and somewhere along the way, a lot of them started to just feel the same. We think that's where a rebooted Medal of Honor could really carve its own space once again. Not by competing directly with the chaos, but by stepping away from it actually. By remembering what made it stand out in the first place. A focus on realism, not in a hyper-technical sense, but in tone, in pacing, and the way it treats its subject matter. Medal of Honor was never really about being a flashy game, it was about being grounded, about putting players into moments that felt believable, even when they were pretty intense. And in a modern reboot, that philosophy could feel fresh again, because right now there's actually a pretty big gap in this genre, a space between arcade and hardcore simulation, and Medal of Honor fits right in the middle. In fact, what makes this reboot practically interesting is the timing. EA has been re-evaluating its approach to shooters after mixed results across different projects. There's been a shift towards more focused development, fewer but more impactful releases, and a willingness to revisit older franchises with a new perspective. Bringing back Medal of Honor fits that strategy perfectly, but it also comes with risk. Because this isn't just about bringing back a name, it's about restoring trust. The last entries in the series didn't land the way they needed to be. They tried to modernize, to compete directly with other military shooters, and in doing so, they lost some of what made them pretty unique. And a reboot now cannot make that mistake again. It has to know what it is, and more importantly, what it isn't. If the current direction holds, this new Medal of Honor is expected to lean heavily into narrative, not just as a background element, but as the core of the experience. A campaign that doesn't feel like a series of just disconnected missions, but like a continuous story. Characters that aren't just voices on a radio, but people you actually follow, understand, and maybe even care about. That kind of storytelling changes a lot of things, because suddenly then the stakes aren't just about completing objectives and missions, they're about what those objectives mean, who they affect, what they cost, and that's where the reboot has its biggest opportunity, to bring back that sense of weight, to remind players that war isn't just action, it's consequence. There's also growing speculation that the setting might not stick to one specific conflict. Instead, the game could take a more global approach, moving between different locations, different operations, and different perspectives. Not in a disconnected way, but in a way that builds a broader picture of modern warfare. That structure would allow the game to stay varied while still maintaining a consistent tone. And it would also give developers a chance to explore different gameplay styles within the same framework. Close quarters, urban combat, long range, stealth-based infiltrations and stuff, moments of chaos followed by moments of silence. Because pacing is just everything in a game like this. You can't just be loud all the time, you need contrast, you need space. You need those quiet moments where players aren't shooting, but thinking, listening, waiting. That's something a lot of modern shooters have moved away from. Now, technically this reboot has the potential to look and feel incredible. With current hardware and modern engines, environments can be more detailed, more reactive, more immersive than ever before. Destruction systems, lighting, sound design, all of it working together to create a sense of presence that goes beyond the visuals. Gunfire doesn't just sound loud, it echoes, it carries. It feels different depending on where you are. Indoors, outdoors, open terrain, tight corridors. These details matter because they shape how players experience each moment. And if done right, they can make even small encounters feel intense. Not to mention, no modern shooter launches without multiplayer. But here's where Medal of Honor has a chance to do something different. Instead of chasing scale, it could focus on tension. Smaller matches, more tactical gameplay, modes where communication matters, where positioning matters, where every move has consequences. Not a replacement for the bigger, faster shooters out there, but an alternative. Something that rewards patience instead of constant aggression and shooting. And if that direction is handled correctly, it could attract a very specific audience that's been looking for something like this, something more deliberate, grounded. However, the real challenge as always comes down to identity, because a reboot isn't just about what you add, it's about what you choose to leave behind. Which is, do you lean into realism and risk alienating players who want accessibility? Do you simplify systems and risk losing depth? Or do you try to balance both and risk doing neither well? These are the decisions that will define this project. And based on the way the industry has been shifting, the safest path isn't necessarily the best one. The best path is the one that feels confident, that knows exactly what kind of experience it wants to deliver and commits to it fully. Because that's what players respond to. Not just polish, not just the graphics, but direction. In fact, if Medal of Honor can find that direction again, it can rediscover what made it stand out while adapting to what modern players expect. It could be a reset for the genre. A reminder that not every shooter needs to be the biggest, or the fastest, or the loudest. Sometimes the most impactful experiences really just come from restraint, from focus, from understanding that tension doesn't come from constant action, but from the memories in between. And if this reboot delivers on that idea, if it brings back that grounded, human approach to storytelling and the gameplay, the Medal of Honor won't just return, it'll matter again.